tonight and ask you to please silence your mobile devices. At this time, I'll ask Mr. Lee Ellis if he would to lead us in prayer.
Okay. Let's pray together. Dear Lord, thank you for your love for us. God, thank you for your patience and mercy with me. I pray, Lord, for the meeting tonight, for us to make decisions that would be in your will. Pray for us to make decisions of the best interest of the county and its citizens. Lord, I pray as we move into the Easter season, God, that we would, as we're doing Christmas, remember the reason for the season. It's the virgin birth, perfect life, death on a cross, but resurrection in 3 days that makes all our lives worth living. Forgive us for your failure. All these prayers are asking your name. Amen.
Charlie, would you ask me to
Attention and salute, pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, please be aware of your ethics awareness and conflicts of interest reminder. If any of you have conflict, please let me know. If none, we'll move on to additions or changes to the agenda. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to add the resolution of the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners in support of wildfire awareness and expansion burn regulations to this agenda in item 11D.
Thank you, Dale. Are there any more?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to add Board of Education sales tax receipt request to the agenda items for discussion, item 11E. I make a motion to change January 2025 to February 2025 on the consent agenda items 12A and 12B.
And I would also like to make a motion to add item 11F, and that would be a discussion about moving the time at our March 18th meeting.
What time would you recommend?
If we could just open it up for discussion, whatever time we see it, just like watch that, discuss it at that meeting. Just do a meeting discussion time.
Let's move it up one. I'd recommend we move it up 1 hour to 5 p.m.
I'll amend my motion to notate 5 p.m.
Thank you. Are there any others to add to the agenda at this time? If none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the additions.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dale. All in favor? Okay, the next is approval of minutes. I think everybody's had an opportunity to look at the minutes of February 3rd, 2025, regular session.
I have one notation in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me just 1 second.
Okay,
I believe it was for our February 3rd meeting. It was in reference to my update about the gentleman going to the shooting competition, Dawson Silvers. And I had made a notation in there, if the commissioners see fit, to make a donation to help pay for his trip out there. If they felt led to make any sort of a donation, 10 or 20 bucks. That was the only thing that I seen that I had notated. That's correct. That was not in the minutes.
okay,
But that was the only one on the 3 minutes that were listed.
would you like to specify an amount, Hardy, or just leave it between 10 and 20?
Trying to remember, Deidre, do you remember what I had? And an amount, just an amount.
Okay, with that noted, do I have a motion to approve the February 3rd, 2025 regular session minutes?
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes for February the third regular session with those said changes. The February third closed session minutes as well as the February 24th special session workshop minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second on all three?
Second.
All in favor? Carries. Thank you. At this time, we'll have public comments. I have one. Miss Debbie Stevens.
Hey there.
How are you tonight?
I don't know. I'm guessing this is supposed to come up. Maybe not. Probably. So I left everybody my card. My name is Debbie Stevenson. I'm a local Mitchell County resident, as well as the executive director for Tiny Together. So Tiny Together is a Western North Carolina nonprofit. We started in 2023 here in Avery and Mitchell County. And our goal is to provide safe, affordable housing to essential workers such as teachers, first responders, vulnerable populations like veterans or domestic violence survivors. Many of these people were renting prior to fleeing. And of course, as we all know, they have nowhere to go. So our organization recognizes the urgent need for sustainable, affordable workforce housing. And we're further committed to education and wraparound services. So what that means is financial career education, helping people learn what it means to be a homeowner. Our goal is home ownership. Obviously, the housing stock is not there right now. So we know over the next 5 to 10 years, we'll be building. And our plan is to have it so that when people are ready, they can step into it and we'll support them. We are deeply rooted in the community that we serve. The leadership team is comprised of myself, my husband, Wayne Pate, and Josiah Tony, who you know. We are united in this vision to create some economic stability. We don't want to see any more of our restaurants and businesses close, and we don't want it to turn into a ghost town up here. So we have an ambitious plan that will allow 45 families to recover and rebuild their lives. And we are looking at property here in the Bakersville area. So I wanted to introduce myself and tell you that we would love your support and your input now while we're planning. We plan to do both cabins and tiny houses. Some of them would be on foundation, some of them are personal property. So that when we develop the next property, we'll be able to move them and building houses. On the card that I gave you, it has our contact information. So if you have questions, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to reports and presentations. Ms. Mavis, tax collector's report. No.
No.
I think I'm gonna be doing that.
I think Alan got that
Okay.
Sorry.
I was trying to put you on the spot back there.
I can give you mine.
So, I'm just gonna go over our tax collector report and, we just had, some things with our tax collector today that had come up, and I'll go over some of this, and if there are some specific questions, I will follow up with this board, and should, we need to note that at the future meeting, we'll definitely do that. So our, total general tax was $229,420 from February 1st to February 28th. Our fire tax collector was $25,061 approximately of that. And our grand total receipts on that was, if you added in principal, interest, cost of advertising, legal, check over payments, prepaid payments, and prepaid applied, a total of $277,883.09. That is just to keep the board informed and always have that check box. Anybody got any questions? Thank you.
Okay, next up will be Mr. Brandon Pittman, Mitchell County Co-op presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Brandon.
Got a little handout for each of you. The first one there, the pamphlet, is a program that we're getting ready to roll out at the end of March. The other two sheets give you some information from the state level as far as the impact that corporate extension has statewide, and that can be looked at as benefits here in Mitchell County as well. if you don't hear anything else that I say tonight, I ask you to hear one thing. That for every dollar invested in extension, it yields $27 in economic return. So we have a 27-to-1 ROI that has been, established through a third party that has looked at extension as a state, and you'll see some of that documentation in the handouts I gave you. I feel like extension, not in Mitchell County, but statewide, is the biggest, best kept secret of what we do and what we're able to do, and the resources that we have. We're here to help fuel the economy by delivering solutions directly into the hands of the residents of Mitchell County. So we do that by extending research-based knowledge from two land-grant universities, North Carolina State University and North Carolina A&T State University. And we take science from the research field trials, that type of thing, and make solutions that enrich the lives to help grow our local economy and our state. As I said, I think some of the best kept secrets are within extension. There's 7 core areas that we really dive into, and that includes what most people think of when they hear extension, and that's primarily agriculture. Of course, ag products, horticulture, livestock, and forest production all fall within extension. Then we also have the value added piece of that, processing feed, fiber, and food. Then there's also natural resources and environmental stewardship. Fourthly, community and economic development, homes, families, and youth, health and nutrition. And then also, as we have been going through the last several months, emergency preparedness and disaster response also plays in our wheelhouse. I appreciate the opportunity to come back to Mitchell County, and I am enjoying the 10-minute drive versus an hour drive and driving down to Morganton to teach. 19 years teaching in the community college system and working for either Maryland or Western Piedmont. And now driving here to Bakersville and actually getting to drop Gabe off at school on my way to work and still getting to work early is a blessing. It has been wide open since I came into the office. We have some other program areas and really strong staff. We are blessed to have 2 4-H agents, and I thank you for supporting both of those agents. There are not many counties that have that. And we have one that is employed through NC State, the other through NCAT. And of course, later on, we'll be talking budget things. There's a cost share there to their salaries, and I appreciate your support in both of those positions. We also have a family and consumer science agent. We have a livestock agent that is currently shared between us and Avery County. And I do ask you to keep her in your prayers. She just recently went into surgery for an aneurysm. That was planned. But since then, she's had a couple of complications. She is at home recovering. I actually do keep her in your thoughts and prayers. She's got several more weeks recovering from that surgery. And then we also have FNEP, which is Enhanced Food Nutrition Education Programs. And we're blessed in that. That one is shared between University County and then also grant funding for it. These 2 months as I've been getting my feet underneath me, I really just come in the office. Those individuals are already doing their jobs. My administrative assistant looked at me and said, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, first of all, let me just kind of see what's going on. You're already here. Each of you are already in that role, and I've just been observing and trying to help make some network connections, give them the boost they need. They're already professionals, the young professionals, and 1 or 2 of them have less than a year experience, but they were hired for those positions based on their credentials, and they have hit the ground running. Several of you know, even prior to me being hired in January, as an advisory council member, was working with some of that staff, and they really stepped up during the immediate relief efforts, getting help to farmers, that type of thing. For myself, I come in, I've already applied for a $52,000 grant through High Country Council of Governments for digital inclusion and equity. That grant is a request to purchase equipment. Digital access, digital literacy is a huge thing, and I've been having conversations with a list of partners from the senior center to the library, shepherd staff, reaching our Latino, Hispanic population, just trying to really get out there, and we have some ideas of how, if we receive that grant, that equipment can help. Working with Mr. Cook and Mr. Kelly Coffey with the High Country Council of Governments on Tobacco Trust Fund. Really excited about the potential moving into Bowman. That's going to give us a much needed accessibility to that building for our programs. I also mentioned wildfire already in this meeting, and we're having conversations about access roads, talking with timber owners, private property owners, talking with the area forestry specialists, with an extension campus specialist. We've got a meeting, I say we, Alan, myself, Mr. Andrew Brewer, with some officials in Avery County and North Carolina Forest Service, and looking forward to that conversation and trying to help on the wildfire and invasive species mitigation. Then along with getting out in the field and assisting producers, I have helped vaccinate Charolais cattle, and I've been to blueberry patches and helping with some pruning and advising with that, and then also soil testing and helping producers being able to get those soil tests submitted. You may have also seen we're doing a spring plant sale, and I came in just a little bit late on the organization of that, but we got it up, and our deadline on ordering those plants is March 17th, I believe, and we'll have those available in April 9th and 10th. We've had a Mitchell County Christmas Tree Association meeting, as well as I've been to the North Carolina Christmas Tree Winter Meeting in Boone. Went to a Christmas tree workshop over in Haywood County. I'm serving on the long-term resiliency group as well. And then we are planning, in conjunction with Farm Bureau, Ag Science Day that will target grades 3 through 5 at our elementary school. That's rolling out April the 11th. Part of that conversation is also spun off as we went to state conference. So I was started on January the 3rd, which is a Friday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I was in Greensboro for state conference with extension specialists from all over the state. And part of that, they had a breakout session focused on hurricane relief. And just in a nutshell, it ended up being a testimonial time and a lot of sharing. If you are familiar with the East Carolina University houses agro-medicine, which has clinical psychologists and does a lot with mental health along with some other things. They were there. We are working on having them at the Ag Science Day to be available for our young people to be able to talk to. And we hope that in that will spur enough interest that they'll want to come back and bring their parents and grandparents on May 2nd to a time to be able to address some mental health that we're dealing with postally. I feel like if we just put it out there for adults, we may or may not get a lot of traction. But if we can get those kids hooked first, and then they go home and bring their parents and grandparents back. Of course, I've already had conversation. The big thing is feeding people. If you feed people, you're out to have more turnout. So I think we've got a partner in feeding with that event, and we haven't settled on the location. Haven't talked to the school board yet, and hopefully that's not too hard of a conversation. But looking at Mitchell High School. So looking forward to that May 2nd. Then also this past Friday, I had a conversation with NCAT about a regional economic rural development summit. So we're working on putting that together. Probably going to be somewhere targeted for Western North Carolina. There was money from USDA that went out to the 1890 Foundation, and they were looking, and as diverse as North Carolina is, doing 2 or 3 regional summits. So we're looking at being able to pull something in, targeting Buchan County up to Avery County with that. Our FNAP, is up and running strong. They're currently at first grade at Greenlee doing curriculum. They're doing the YMCA after school at Greenlee. Once that completes in early April, they'll go to Gouge with after school program. She is also starting a class at Never to Scarred. And then also we've got a class starting at North Toe Apartments. And she is anxious to get back in the senior center, once that becomes available. So excited about that. Also, she's partnering with 4-H doing a couple of classes for summer fun, the junior cook camp and cloverbud cook camp. Our 4-H agents, when one of our first meetings, they were giving a report and they said that they had 350 contacts last year. One of those agents only started in June. Then we hit October, and everything stopped. I told them that meeting, I said, next year you're gonna have 700 contacts, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Now that they're getting programming back up and going, they're going, that 700 may be very doable. And I think it is very doable. They are, sent off state project record books today. They are starting a cooking club and had 24 youth show up of interest in that cooking club, which comes back then to what we're looking at with Bowman, having a teaching kitchen, commercial kitchen. If you've been in there, and I encourage all of them to come by and see me. You see the kitchen we're currently working with, there is no way, and of course, we're gonna break those 24 into 2 different clubs, but even with 10, there's no way you can do that effectively in our space. We are utilizing Bakersville Baptist Church for their kitchen fellowship hall for those clubs in the meantime. Also, NCA&T is sort of the carrier. It's statewide that the last week of March, the 23rd through the 29th, is Small Farms Week. So we really want to highlight small farmers. And I've kind of charged Aaron Norton with that since she's our NCA&T employee. Aaron Silver has also been out with her doing some interviews with farmers. They went and visited Harley and John and got some information. So later on this week, watch our social media about every 3 days or so, we're gonna be highlighting another small farmer in Mitchell County. And then my ultimate goal from that is that in next year, we're talking about having a small farmer of the year for Mitchell County. Because at NCA&T, that week on Wednesday, they are gonna recognize a state small farmer of the year. So I would like us be a few months ahead of that and get on the right cycle where we recognize a Mitchell County Small Farmer of the Year that is then nominated to go and be a candidate potentially for Small Farmer of the Year for the state. This year at the 28th, 29th, we are identifying some of the farmers that are willing to open up their farm for farm tours. There's some conversation with what Appalachian Rebuild is doing with a bike ride coming through Yancey and Mitchell County. So we're kind of piggybacking with them. It just happened, they correlate the same weekend. So we're trying to advertise both of those together. Hopefully it also bring in a little bit of economic impact that people come and spend some money here in Mitchell County while they're doing this. We're really going to advertise and target Weaverville in that area as well. So looking forward to that. Also, they got a livestock club that has got quite a bit of interest. Got a volunteer or 2 in here with that club. They are beginning to recruit for presentations. Spring into 4-H is getting ready to kick off with some workshops of painting, cookie decorating, livestock interactions, wildlife, and candle making. They are planning summer fun that deals with STEM, crafts, cooking, and electrical projects. You mentioned Dawson Silvers from your minutes and already had discussion around him. We currently have 30 members in our shooting sports team and club. Another 10 volunteers that work with that. And they got a NRA grant for quite a bit of ammunition that's starting to come in. And I figure I'm having to hold it overnight so we've got that securely stored in a fallout shelter.
Yeah.
So, that is there, and that ammunition should do them for a little while. And then we're also planning County Activity Day for May 31st. I encourage you to put that day on your calendar. That will be, most likely over at Bowman. Come out, see what they're doing with that. Our Family Consumer Sciences is, doing the program on the pamphlet that I handed you, the Enhanced Fitness. That starts March 31st. It's targeted for ages 65 and older. Is really adaptable, whether someone is physically strong or whether they're on a walker or a wheelchair. There are things that they can adapt all those exercises to. But Christina shared with me, it'd probably be good for all of us because there's some pretty stringent exercises in that.
Just say you're old.
Well, they've already said that, Harley. We won't be able to talk about that. And then also, the other exciting thing is, there's a business here in Bakersville that was needing Serve Safe. And we are offering that for them. And I think we got a little bit interested in that. So, and that's able to do that at just the cost of the books and materials for the test. So, really busy with everything that's going on, but again, that's why you're getting that 27-to-1 return on investment. Any questions for me?
What was the date for that community day?
The Community Activity Day?
Yeah.
May 31st.
May 31st, so it's a Saturday,
Yes, ma'am.
and it's what time?
I don't have the times
Okay.
yet. Reach out to me. I just got that confirmed this week with 4-H.
And then I wanted to note also that our TDA director is working with the extension. I think she's been working with Aaron, to do a focus on ag tourism for Small Farms Week as well. And then my only other question, Brandon, was what were the two classes that they're teaching at Never Too Scarred and then the apartments, do you know?
Yes, Never Too Scarred is using the curriculum Families Eating Smart, Moving More. And that's the same curriculum at the North Toll Apartments. The curriculum at Greenlee is Show Me Nutrition, and then the YMCA after school is Camp Cook and Play. So there's a lot taking place within that, and really, proud of the staff that they have really been at it. I think they've been excited to get back to a little bit of normalcy and things being able to open up. We're anxious to start doing stuff at Bowman. We're going to the plan. I talked with Mr. Cook, Mr. Brewer this morning. Our plan is to do the enhanced fitness in the building back there, what I call his old shop class, to clean up one of those rooms where they are able to use it. It'd be about probably 10, 15 people, I think is what she is capable of taking in one class. If it gets enough interest, she's open to doing more classes, so.
I'll just say, he's doing a bang up job. He took a extension program that did not have any CED in place since, before I got here as county manager, I would say about 2020 or so. And just out of the gate, 2 months into this, and you look at the program, we've not had a ag update of this magnitude in a long time. Very proud of the work I've seen Brandon doing.
I humbly appreciate that. I say staff is there. I think part of it was they needed that CD in that position. I've had the privilege of serving for 6 years on North Carolina A&T Strategic Planning Council. We do a lot of meetings with the State Advisory Council for NC State. I'm grateful to have Commissioner Masters serving, as I came off with A&T's SPC board. We have Rodney Buchanan on the NC State side, another unique thing for our county, especially as small as we are. We've got two individuals that have that ear of both universities. And it's really exciting. Last week, they were doing legislative visits down at Raleigh. I believe Commissioner Masters is planning to go in April to the Peel Conference, and then they'll be doing some legislative visits there on Capitol Hill. I got to do that a couple of times, and it is a blessing to have that. And just a great, I have the advantage of having those connections and knowing those individuals at both universities. So had a little bit of advantage not walking in just cold, but having this connection even down at the state conference. I got to meet some new people, but a lot of people, I already had some familiarity with and conversations with, so that's been a blessing.
And they did nominate me to serve on the executive committee, so I feel very blessed and honored that I'm just glad Mitchell County has a seat at the table.
Yeah, no, it makes a big difference. The A&T position, that we have 4-H, a lot of that is there not because of you, but also the joint effort of A&T continuing to push. Lynette Marsh, was our regional director, with A&T. She saw that need and continued to push for that. I've got a lot of vision and be happy to talk to you as individual. I don't take more of your time. With what I see 2 to 5 years out, how we're growing, I can tell you that there's some things I think that are gonna be needed. We'll have those conversations later. But feel free to stop by. Would like for you to give me a heads up if you're able to come. Not that I care, my door's always open. But right now I'm bouncing around. I may or may not be in the county or in the office. Cause I'm trying to get caught up on some field visits. So if you give me a heads up, I'll definitely be there. I do want to thank the paper as well. If you saw the paper last week, they've done an article on extension, our small farms tour, and what we're doing with that, and I appreciate them running that for us, so thank you.
Brandon, I'd say welcome home,
Yes, sir.
even though you always live here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you ain't got nothing going on. Didn't have anything to report. You know, for one of the smallest counties in the state, it sounds like you guys are knocking the top completely off. And these programs that you're offering, my daughter's in the cooking class.
Yeah.
And excited to death to do that. So, I mean, this is huge and, you know, what you're doing in the school system, bringing those folks in.
Yeah.
Because we all realize those kids have suffered.
Yeah.
And gone through a lot of mental distress.
Yeah,
So, thank you, you're doing a great job, glad you're back.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Harden. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll move on to board reports. Mr. Blevins.
Over the, month, I have attended, an EOC meeting, and things are always moving in those, aren't they, Alan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're constantly moving. So they're all doing a really good job from the one I attended earlier in February. Also the Mitchell County Animal Rescue, some updates from their meeting. That hopefully in April, they're going to have their spaghetti fundraiser that they have every year. Trying to get that organized and ready. First of all, they had some trouble getting, facilities, and they're going to use First Baptist, but of course, with the Baptist Disaster Relief Fair, they can't do that. So I think they've narrowed it down to, maybe the Spruce Pine Fire Department right now again this year. I'm not sure, but we'll have more to come on that. We will be having a big budget planning session from 10 to 2 on Saturday, March 29th in the Spruce Pine Public Library. Also planning for the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, they're still looking and working on grant fundings for the new county line facility. Which, you know, they're have good high hopes on that. So we keep looking and keep getting updated, and hopefully one of our state fellows will come through with some grant money for them, I hope. Keep hoping every day. And of course, February 13th, Jeff and I attended the Freedom Live presentation at the sheriff's office, and Danny Hampton and Link Vance. And of course, we talked about that a little bit the other night, so I won't rehash that part out, but it's a really, really good program. Really good program. I hope we think long and hard about as the time comes to us. Of course, Harley and Lee and I attended, and Deidre, the ethics of county government, the 19th and 20th. a lot of eye-opening for me, I'll say that much. One of the big things was how you present yourself as a commissioner, how you present yourself up here in front of all the public. They did a lot of scenarios, and they had one fellow constantly on his cell phone and being really unprofessional and acting and not listening. And, you know, you step back and you look and you say, oh my gosh, you know, you need to be aware of what you're doing, you know, all the time. So it was a good 2-day event, and I learned lots of good things about it. And also I have been to February 27th, Jeff and Glenda and I attended the Mitchell Yancey My Prevention and Recovery Coalition. And of course, they're still stressing for 2025, the building capacity, more resources and peer support, empowering individuals through more signage and meeting core individuals, and refocusing advocacy and education through updating lots of drug awareness literature, which has really come out of date at this time, and it really needs to be revamped with all the new issues that are hitting America and our area and so forth and so on. So been very busy. Mr. Ellis. Yes, sir.
I missed the chamber meeting last week, but they send out enough emails for me to give the board and the public a quick update. They had a networking Coffee and Connect meeting at DT's on the 28th. The memberships in the chamber have exceeded budget expectations in January and February, which also would include more new corporate membership levels. They are going to host an economic impact forum Friday, March 7th at 1:30 at the Sam Center at Malin. Presenters include Ralph Heiss, Dudley Green, and Bill Slagle, as well as some others. It'll concentrate on the data around the data on the economic impact of Hurricane Helene in Mitchell County. The chamber is continuing to work on the 2025 Maryland Gem Festival. They're exploring 2 possibilities for that location. And then this Friday, they're going to be at with Little Switzerland businesses and have the Blue Ridge Parkway staff, some of the staff from Blue Ridge Parkway, Representative Dudley Green and Justin Summers from Ted Budd's office will be there to address the planned closure of the Blue Ridge Parkway for 2025. That's the section that is proposed to close, is liminal to Mount Mitchell. Also, Friday attended the EDC meeting. The majority of the time, we did learn that the Secretary of Commerce from North Carolina has been invited to the area. More details to come, but it looks like there's a connection possibly through his spouse to the area. Maybe we can get them here. Most of the meeting for the EDC on Friday was centered around the future of the EDC. As y'all know, we've been without a director for a while. Strategic plans, I would say, but the final part of the meeting is really focused on what we want what does the EDC look like over the next 12 months? What are we going to do as far as trying to find the replacement for the previous director, Matt Ward? And I think we will probably be able to move forward with that after this last meeting and give y'all a better update next month. Those are the only 2 meetings that I had.
Let's see here. In your mailbox, there should be some invitations that have the district NCACC meeting that'll be held in April in Avery County. So if you didn't have one of those in your box, Deidre's got some extra ones in there in her office. The Mitchell County Regional Library meeting is this Thursday, and it was scheduled to be at Bakersville, but it is now being relocated to the Spruce Pine Library at 5:30. And that was because they expect a lot of people to show up. The CC, 5:30 this Thursday, yeah, the Spruce Pine Library. And then the next CCPT meeting is scheduled for tomorrow, so Jeff and I will be in attendance for that. And then as far as the TDA board, I hate that none of you guys were able to attend on the 13th because it was very enjoyable. There were about 70 people in attendance, and Director Jones facilitated speakers from Visit NC, the U.S. Forest Service, Blue Ridge Parkway, NC Wildlife, as well as local partners. And Visit NC received funds from the General Assembly to specifically market Western North Carolina counties, and they are launching their campaign this spring. And then as well as locally, the Mitchell County TDA is launching a Find Your Mountain of Youth, and it's their spring campaign, which will showcase Mitchell County as a destination for all ages. And then the TDA board was also informed that they were awarded a $20,000 marketing grant to assist with PR in our recovery phase. So there is a lot of stuff going on there. And like I had said earlier, our TDA director is also working with a cooperative extension to showcase some of our ag tourism farmers in the area. And then as far as just like a regular commissioner's report, I've been getting a lot of questions about Ingalls. And so, like a lot of questions, and I'm sure you guys have as well, is Ingalls coming back? So before our meeting tonight, I called the inspection department and asked for an update. And the inspections department indicated that the plans had been released for permitting several months ago, and to their knowledge, the Ingalls had not opened up that project for bid at this time. So anybody in the meeting or anybody on the live stream that has asked questions about Ingalls, that is the only update that I was given today. So Alan, if you have more on that, please let the audience know, because it is a very hot topic. And then I have a couple questions. I'm not sure if Lee or Jeff wants to answer this one because it's a Development Foundation question, but I'm getting a lot of questions about the Oliver Anthony concert. And is the Development Foundation the sponsor of that event?
No.
Okay, who's the sponsor? Because they keep asking, and I don't know what to tell them.
I'll give you an update.
Okay, but yeah, they keep asking if it's a county facilitated event, and I said, no, it's not a county event, so I don't know who. So once you give that update, I will tell them to tune in to the live stream so they have that question answered. And then Lee, I got asked this over the weekend where the EDC board is planning to advertise the EDC director position. And so I didn't know what to say, so I said I would ask that in our meeting tonight.
So we were advised by 4 that that is not a requirement to advertise that position.
Okay. That is what I will let them know. Alan, I have 3 different questions that I've jotted down here. If you don't care, just to notate those and then maybe give an update on them in your county manager's report. But I'm getting a lot of questions about right of entry forms, whether that be for waterway removal, debris removal. I know that you have explained it before in our meetings, but if you could just touch base on it again, please. And then Miss Anna Grace would like to know when debris removal is going to begin of Loggy Hollow Road. I told her I would ask at our meeting tonight. And what resources are available for landowners who have timber down? Do they need to navigate that through the Forest Service, FEMA? What path do they need to take? So that was the 3 questions that I said I would ask tonight. And then my last comment, I guess I will say, is something that's been weighing on my heart since last week, and I've not really had any peace about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just say it. But at our special workshop last week, I didn't necessarily agree with the decision not to live stream it. And I guess that's just something that's near and dear to my heart. You know, last year we live streamed the budget meetings, which I think is really a good opportunity for people that can't come, or, you know, whether they choose to not come or not. But it is something that's weighed heavily on my heart that we didn't live stream it. And so moving forward, if there's any meetings that the board opts to not live stream, I personally will probably live stream those on my campaign page like I done before we set up the live stream. And that is just simply because I'm a huge advocate for live streaming, and I have been the entire time that I've been in office, and I'm not planning on changing my stance on that now. But like I said, I think it's important that all citizens have that opportunity, to know what goes on in the county meetings, regardless if they choose to attend or not, and, um. That's my report for tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Dale and I attended 2 meetings together, as he stated, been a very busy month. One of the things I took out of the meeting in Yancey County with the substance abuse was freedom of life. I had an opportunity to go into the Yancey County School, work with the school counselors side by side, working with troubled kids. Offering service for counseling. A lot of these kids, it were parents that had been incarcerated for drug abuse situations. So I just wanted to point that out. Foundation board meeting this week. It's a good report. Appears there's more money coming into the foundation, which will be allowing more grants to be given to local businesses, which is very positive. Alan Lee and I met with Holly Jones about an hour and a half after the foundation meeting. She's with the governor's office. Thought it was a very, very productive meeting. She listened, she took notes. And probably the 3 major topics that were discussed. And you guys help me remember, fire mitigation. Well, Alan's huge on fire mitigation. He makes sure he gets that out every time we have an opportunity to speak to somebody higher up than we are. Because we have a great concern and we want to get ahead of that before something were to happen. Private bridges and roads, how important that is to the mountains of western North Carolina and our citizens. Most of these folks don't know what a holler is. That's what we call a road going into somebody's house is a holler. And then, I'm always going to advocate, and I did again this time, for small business, and the process is taking way too long. Why has the money not been allocated or moved? And like I said, she very open, very honest. I thought it was an exceptional meeting across the board. And she gave us our contact information, said anything we needed, along with any of y'all that want to touch base with her. She's there to assist or try to assist. Board of Health meeting. Mason is doing an excellent job with the Board of Health and the health departments in both counties. We are starting to work on the budget process. We will have a budget meeting shortly for him to give the presentation to Avery Commissioner and myself, along with 2 community representatives. And then we'll bring that information back to you guys. And then he will be here to make a budget presentation. The numbers look good for him, Mavis. Definitely not an increase. Could probably possibly cut a little bit. Won't know that, but it sounded very, very, very positive. Alan and I went to the Helena Recovery meeting in Asheville, is what I call it. Folks there from Jackson County all the way back up Allegheny Ash. And, got a lot of information from FEMA. All of Washington in our district was represented. And my take on the meeting, listen to folks just sitting around, we were very thankful for that. But what was discussed in that meeting should have happened months ago. It was brought up, we now have, the state has travel trailers for displaced people. And one point was made, well, we needed those before it was 5 degrees. You know, those were taken care of with private donations. But, you know, it was very productive, the chain of command or money flowing or things getting appropriated, guys, is very, very slow at the federal level. And it's, you know, it's quicker at the state level, but it's still slow, you know, so it can be a very frustrating process. High Country Council of Government, give you a couple of, brought a book, I'm gonna cheat. Return on investment's $42.42 per dollar. So ours is a little bit better than Mr. Pitt's. July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. HOG leveraged 12,191,286 state and federal dollars for our region. And the other thing that was very impressive, area agency on the agent. 179,251 conjure and home delivered meals served. 30,946 in-home 8 hours served. 24,744 transportation trips. 448 hours of legal assistance. And now this is all for our elderly guys. 2,910 total people served. 1,298 people served at or below poverty level. 848 people served age 85 and older. And regional community-based service expenditures, this is for the, on the agent, $3,278,746. And there was a lot more discussed, but I wanted to highlight those 2 points because I thought that was huge and very impressive. And now we'll go to the Oliver Anthony concert. Like every Monday, I'm in a meeting, and the meeting turns to about 4 hours, so. In a meeting today with the production team, getting everything nailed down. John back there with Ian has been on meetings, and, you know, those guys are giving us great advice of what we need and where we need to go. This is a confirmed event. April 5th, start time is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. First band will come on at 10 o'clock, or excuse me, 1 o'clock, and I do not have you a list of those, but they're gonna get those out to us. There'll be 3,000 tickets pre-sold on his website. Those tickets will go on sale, my understanding, this Friday. 500 will be booked for Mitchell County residents. That you have the opportunity to go on and buy your ticket before they go to the general public. They expect this event to sell out in 3 or 4 days totally. All donations or all the money after promotion is taken out of this on their end will come back to Mitchell County through the Developmental Foundation. And they are not a sponsor of this. It's produced by Main Street.
He's sponsoring this himself, it sounds to me like, is that correct?
For the most part, yes, Lee.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have some expenditures that we need to cover locally. Both Lower and Upper Street will be shut down for this event. Food trucks, vendors, activities will take place on Upper Street throughout the day. Food vendors, alcohol, and the music will go on Lower Street in a designated area. I forgot to mention tickets. I think tickets $30 each. So I think it's a great opportunity for Mitchell County and people to see our county. You know, the main guy today loved the county, he said, man, this was a beautiful place, I can't imagine how beautiful it was before. And I said, we'll have to come back, and he said, well, we're coming back next year. But, you know, if you have the opportunity to volunteer for this event, be, you know, help with it in some way, shape, or form. Let me know, let Patty know. Patty with the chamber has been a tremendous help in this. Everybody that's been there has been a tremendous help. Last Thursday when we met, we didn't have all the information, you know, it was sort of a little fuzzy. We've got everything nailed down now to the exacts. So
his,
did that answer your question, Harvey?
yeah, I'm always from like an emergency standpoint, I guess. Will his team carry like the liability insurance
No,
on
ma'am.
the event, or is that,
They will not.
okay, so does
We
that
will,
have to go
that will
through,
be our policy.
okay, so like through the Development Foundation?
No, through Spruce by Main Street.
Oh,
Main
sure.
Street is filling out the
Okay,
request form to shut the streets down. Spruce by Main Street is doing the insurance. Now, what could happen there? They could take that. The Oliver Anthony Band could take that production team and pay for that. But that comes out of the promotion, you know, whoever pays for it will get reimbursed at the end of the day.
as far as I know, I think that should cover all the questions that I've been asked, so I just keep
Okay.
telling them to go to you. Because I don't have the answers for anything else about.
Well, you know, long story short, I made a phone call. I got a phone number, made a phone call several months ago. Brian, that's with production with the band, came down here. I showed him several sites. And they went back, he presented the sites, and this is where they wanted to do it. They wanted to do it in a downtown location. They wanted people to come, people to shop local, people to eat local. They want local vendors. I mean, they're really about pushing local. They've even said, you know, if you're gonna fix hamburgers, we want you to use local beef from Mitchell County. We would prefer that. So I just sort of fell in the middle of this, Harley. I don't know how. To be quite honest with you, I'm not the technical guy, as all of y'all know. You know, I'm the boots on the ground dude that says, tell me what you need done, we'll try to pull it off. But if you want me to go back constantly email and fill all this stuff out, then I'm not the cat. So, you know, Patty and Spencer are taking care of that. And it's just a community thing. It'll be money coming back into the community. They want to make it a 3-year event. Hopefully a 3-year, 3-day event. So we'll see how it goes. And pray when you pray that it does not rain. It doesn't snow. It doesn't have to be warm. It can be a little overcast, but no rain. And that's all I've got. Okay, I'll see if I can move us on before I go brain dead sitting here with all that. 11 items for discussion. GIS contract, I don't know if you don't mind.
Chair, yes, so the GIS support contract is through Avenion, and you'll see that in your packet. Right now, we have a new mapper, Matt Ward. He's about a year into it, and there's a lot of technical things to mapping, and one of them is property closures. We're trying to, we've got a lot of work on that mapping area that needs to be done correctly. So some of that support contract goes into making sure our staff person is completely equipped on that and has that support. And then the aspect of that will be doing some of the professional services in the meantime for Avenion, so for the county via Avenion. So that contract has been reviewed by 4 And 4 says that it is a, you know, a legal contract that doesn't have any landmines that he sees in that.
This contract for 1 year.
I think it was one, and it's got a rate schedule too, so we can run it off the rate schedules, and I think it's got an expiration date of a year. I've got to go back and review that. I'm not exactly right on that, but.
Any questions? You good, Holly?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was just for a year in case Matt doesn't like it. And that way we're not locked into like a long-term commitment. I was looking through it, but I couldn't find anything on the contract date. Are there any of our neighboring counties that have utilized this, resource before?
So a lot of them have, you know, we wasn't really utilizing it until we had a new position, so some of them got seasoned positions in that, so. That's why we're needing that extra support, so yes, some have used it, but not to the point that we're using it right now, just to kind of get him up to par. And yeah, as you look at it, there is a cost schedule on that. And, we have a max on that, cost schedule. So, you know, if we end up, you know, not needing some of the things on that, it's kind of coming out of an amount of money. Max of 15,000, the minimum 7,500. So what does it should qualify on the contract, so you're not caught in something that's an ongoing payment, like a subscription style thing. So you're kind of getting set services with a max and a min, and that is what we like about that. Now, you could have went another route where we said, you know, hey, we're gonna take it out by the hour and run it out, and we could have set a max and min on that, but we like to be able to quantify a lot of the things we're getting off of there so we can project it out correctly.
No, I think this could be very beneficial, especially, I'm always an advocate for departments that are just 1 or 2 people, always trying to get help. And the mapping department is a very difficult job. So, put forth a
Very
motion,
needed right now.
yeah, and so I'll put forth a motion to, approve the GIS support contract.
Always made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? None opposed, okay, we'll move on to item B, Blue Ridge Parkway Resolution, and I'm gonna turn to you again. And I
Thank you,
don't
Chair.
expect you to read the whole thing.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the kind of rundown on the Parkway resolution. This has came to us about a month or 2 ago. And I wanted to run it through the Tourism Development Authority as well to get, you know, their guidance on anything when it comes to that. So they endorsed this resolution and said, yes, bring it forth in the commission meeting. So basically on this, as you heard earlier from a report out, that the parkway is going to have a section that needs repair and it's going to be closed. It's impacting, the parkway impacts visitors into the county. The parkway is one of those corridors that brings tourism into the county. So this resolution shows support from Mitchell County Commission Board on the vitality of the parkway impacting Mitchell County's tourism and economic impact in general. So that's a lot of that, and it's advocating for repairs to get them done quickly. This group right here has a legal pull, so there's a consortium that is working through the advocacy on the political ends for the parkway, and they're trying to get it moving quick. This is a Blue Ridge Rising, and they have been working in the county prior to Tropical Storm Helene, and are an advocacy level for our local counties in western North Carolina to get this parkway up and moving, and to make sure that we're keeping those areas that are attractions nearby. So that's the long and short of this resolution, to show you all are in support of that.
I would say too, that our TDA board always says that, we don't really have like an interstate. And so this is kind of like our interstate. And whenever they gave an update at the tourism summit, they said that our section was the worst section. So any state, federal, or, funds or support that we can get to get that back open, I think will do a lot of good for Mitchell County.
And it's going to affect a lot of these business sector in the yeah, for sure. 226A is not in the best shape. You can get to the little Switzerland area out of the Parkway at the visitor center. It's the safest way to go, but you're not gonna have the number of people traveling, getting off at the rest area, and probably coming on in to visit. And this area, so it's huge. They have been up there working on the section right past the Schley entrance, because we saw them working up there all week. So that's a positive. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the Blue Ridge Parkway resolution?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Harley. Thank you, Lee. All in favor? Okay, resolution to approve NC cash flow loan agreement and promissory note.
We can talk to them.
Since you the lady handling the money.
This money is coming to us from North Carolina Department of Treasury. And then the bill that North Carolina did recently, they allocated for Helene recovery, they allocated $10 million to counties and towns to help with cash flow. There is a pretty substantial time frame from the time you do a project, and it goes through the FEMA process and through the state processing before we get reimbursement. You're looking at about 60 days, the fastest you can do. And that's on the small projects. Now that we're going into larger projects, it's going to take a lot longer. So the state recognizes that, and what they did is they looked at, when they did this bill, they looked at each county and each town to see how much dollar amount you had sitting out there right now in projects. And for us, it was like, I think it was like 11 million and something maybe. But what they did is they took that amount, well, actually, it was about 26 million, because they actually counted our entire debris project. Even though we hadn't got an expedited project, they counted the entire contract. So ours was about 26 million. But what they did is they looked at everybody at that point in time and they said, we've got $10 million. So it worked out to be that everybody got 11% of what they had setting up their projects. For us, it was $2,887,000. This is round one. I do feel like they're going to try to look at doing some more funding for this cash flow program. The nice thing about this is there's no fees, there's no interest, there's nothing. And they're sending these out in waves, because what they're doing is as soon as we sign this and I send them the original documents, they will send us the money immediately. And from what I understand, 73% of areas already got their money. We're kind of late in getting notification last week. So again, they're sending out waves because they've never processed so many time. But you can see the schedule on this. $1 is due on the anniversary of the loan date. And then each year thereafter, it's like 10%. And then the third year, it's 20%. And then the fourth year, it's 30%. And the fifth year, it's 40%. The only caveat that's in this is if we finish all of our projects and we get all of our money back from FEMA before the 5 years, of course, we'll pay it all back at that time. This is just to help us go through the process of getting our money back from FEMA.
Ladies, whenever we've received money in the past, whether it be opioid money or, is there any reporting that your office would have to do? Like quarterly or anything like that?
It'll be in our annual audit, but they've not indicated any reporting on this one at all.
Okay.
just that we keep it separate, which of course, any funds you get have to be allocated in the budget separately. So we'll have to track it separately. And make sure we make our payments. They're not even asking for the interest that it earns. They're just asking for their gross amount that they send us back. I don't see any negatives to this. Or has looked at it. He says it looked great to him. In fact, I think we have a meeting tomorrow about the community what is that one called, Alan? The community reinvestment
Disaster
loan.
CDL community. disaster.
And we're gonna look at that one. The issue with that one is it does have interest accrued on it. So if we can do the cash flow loan, and if they do another round of cash flow loans, I do think that would be the better way to go than to do the federal community disaster loan. But we have a meeting tomorrow about that one, just to learn the details on it. But I think this one's a no-brainer, personally. I would, and I think if the state's willing to help us, definitely don't want to turn it down.
Thank you.
That's all I have, unless you have any more questions.
I don't have any more questions.
So if you guys approve this, Jeff needs to sign it tonight. I have to email it to them in the morning and mail them the original documents. And then they will
I put forth,
disperse it.
all right, well, I put forth a motion to approve the resolution, to approve North Carolina cash flow loan agreement and what was the other part of that? Yes, promissory note. A lot.
They already made a motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Thank you, Dale. All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to resolution of Mitchell County Board of Commissioners in support of wildfire awareness and expanded burn regulation. Alan, this is your forte, so.
Thank you, Chair. I want to read you this resolution because it's very much focused on Mitchell County and our situation that we're in right now with this high load of down trees. And as we look around, you see these wildfires popping up, and unfortunately, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We hope we can keep it down, but we got a lot of concerns. So and here's our resolution of the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners in support of wildfire awareness and expanded burn regulations. Whereas Mitchell County has a high load of down trees that are seasoning, increasing the potential fuel load and wildfire risk. And whereas wildfires pose a significant threat to the lives, property, and natural resources of Mitchell County, requiring proactive measures to mitigate the risk. And whereas Mitchell County currently enforces a burning ban that prohibits burning within 100 feet of a structure to protect public safety and property. And whereas during periods of heightened wildfire danger and declared states of emergency, additional restrictions on burning may be necessary to further reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires. And whereas expanding burning regulations during such emergency conditions is essential to ensuring the safety of residents, first responders, and property owners throughout Mitchell County. And whereas the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners recognizes the importance of wildfire awareness, prevention, and preparedness to safeguard the community from potential wildfire disasters. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners hereby supports increased wildfire awareness and expansion of burn regulations during states of emergency to enhance fire prevention efforts and protect lives and properties. Be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners urges residents, landowners, and visitors to exercise extreme caution with fire-related activities, adhere to all burn regulations, and support community wildfire prevention initiatives. So this is a resolution of support that will lead to maybe us kind of brainstorming on how we're going to run some regulations related to that.
Any questions?
Is there a time frame for this resolution, Alan?
You know, we're adopting it this day. And, as I think the time frame as we adopt this resolution is setting for the next year or two. I mean, we're gonna be proactively looking at it as long as we have a high load of down trees in these mountaintops and as they season. So, this will be on the books for the future. So it's not during a time frame. It's
Okay.
just from here on out, we wanna look at that and be proactive.
Just trying to think of questions I might get asked.
Any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to pass this resolution?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Lee. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dale. All in favor? And I'll say before moving on, I think that, county manager here is, being very proactive, trying to get ahead of the game, trying to prepare for a situation. It's not if, it's when, and I think we all realize that, so. Good job.
Thank you for the sport, to keep that priority moved.
Okay, we'll move on to 11E, Board of Education, sales tax request. Mavis, yes, please.
This afternoon, about 3:30, I got an email from Ms. Edwards asking for some of the sales tax money that we're holding for the Board of Education. Her request is I think a cash flow issue, kind of like everyone else is having, waiting on FEMA money. She sent me a letter requesting $612,836 to be funded out of their sales tax. And she cites several items in her request that they're working on those repairs, and they will of course file for, some of that will come back to them under FEMA funds, I think. She's just not sure when. So they're trying to progress those repairs as quickly as possible. If we grant this request, that's gonna leave them about $346,371 in sales tax. Their sales tax, like our sales tax, of course, it comes in monthly, so each month, as we get our sales tax, I move their percentage of what they get over to their account that we are holding. So that 346 will continue to grow. In fact, the middle of each month, they get an allocation, which runs anywhere from 60-some thousand to 90-some thousand a month, depending on what we get. So it's not going to deplete their money, but it's taking a big chunk out right now. She asked if I would bring this to the board and get your approval for this request.
For the new board members, will you speak a little bit about what this, the school board sales tax money goes to, just on the off chance that they don't know?
The sales tax money goes for capital expenditures, which is for maintenance and repair of their buildings. And the county holds that sales tax and then they request it as they need it. The other thing we most recently spent some sales tax for is to finish the middle school build. There was a little bit of overrun from their grant to finish the middle school, so we used a little bit of sales tax for that. They use sales tax every year. They request their one-to-one technology. They're part of that. You know, we pay part of that from county dollars, and then they pay part of it. So every year she asks us for part of that for their one-to-one. I think last year they requested money to buy an activity bus. Just whatever their capital needs are, it's not funded from other means that they have, other lottery money they have or other money, they will ask for it for the sales tax, from the sales tax. So that is an expenditure that the board would need to approve.
Any other questions for Mavis concerning this matter? Okay, do I have a motion? Board of Education sales tax request.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Dale. All in favor?
Thank you. I'll get her that money tomorrow.
And then, the last item on 11F is the Tuesday 18th meeting changed from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. Any questions, any concern, any discussion on that?
You just need to make sure Steve knows, so he can hit Burleson Hill about 4:30.
Okay. Do I have a motion to change the time of that meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Artie.
Second.
Thank you, Lee. All in favor? All right, guys, we will now move on to the consent agenda. If you'll look at that. And no one has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Lee. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dale. All in favor? All right, Mavis. Finance officer's report.
I'll just have a couple things I'll point out. Reports are in your box for February. I'll follow up on Alan's tax collection report. On there, you will see that our tax collection percentage at the end of February was 93.37%, and that is down from last February of 94.86. So we were kind of staying pretty on par, but in February, kind of we dipped down just a little bit. So we are starting to see a little bit of that.
What's that in dollar amount, Mavis?
I
That's
didn't
about-
figure in dollar amount. However, our current year taxes that's still owed to us is $908,000. So we still have a pretty good chunk. And then we have $514,000 in prior year taxes. So right now we're sitting on 1.4 million in taxes that's due to us.
But with
That's just the number we need to watch over the next little bit. See if we even back out. We don't want to fall too far below where we were last year. We finished last year at 97.19%. So we're hoping to finish 97 plus this year. If we don't, we actually budgeted this year 97.25, but if we don't make that, we're going to end up short. So hopefully we will. When you get these, kind of pay attention to those numbers. Those are probably the most important. Right now, where our overall budget is set and is a little bit distorted, it's saying we're at 82% in revenues and only 52% in expenses. But remember, we got an expedited FEMA project, which means we got money up front. So that's kind of messing with your revenue number. What you want to look at more is your departmentals and seeing at what percentage they're setting at. And overall, we're less than 50% year-to-date spent from our actual departments. So we're doing good in our department spending. The only other thing that I will mention is, and I don't know how I got an email about this today already, because usually I don't get this till about the 12th or 13th of the month, but I've got an early indication on January sales tax. And actually, it's holding, we're not dipping. We're actually setting a little bit better than we were last year at this time, which is amazing. So that was the good news. Unless you have some questions.
No, I'm just really surprised.
Well, I am too, but I think it's because most of our rentals are all booked. That helps with sales tax. We've got a lot of people in here doing a lot of work, so they're having to buy things at Walmart, I guess. I've got to eat. All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, county manager report.
So, yeah, a lot going on. So, of course, the world I live in is the world of debris. So, may I impart my debris knowledge upon the board and the county? So, we'll talk about it. So right now on debris, we're kind of phasing out SDR in the county and moving forward with, over the next couple of weeks, you're gonna see Crowder Gulf doing debris removal in Mitchell County. Now, Crowder Gulf, we're not sharing in with the surrounding counties. So we've got they're one of the bigger debris removal, companies in the country. And they have big equipment. So you're gonna start seeing stuff move. Our crews are bulking up. We got our debris sites set for Crowder Gulf, but we're gonna be needing more. So one of the things I would ask that you reach out to the county about, if you have some land and it's not got a swamp on it, it's kind of up out of the way of a creek, not in a floodplain or a floodway, and you would like to get a rental cost from one of these debris companies, right now would be a good time. You can reach out to us, maybe reach out to our debris hotline, which I will give to you right now. Bring it up here on the phone. And we will definitely connect you with some folks to talk about debris sites. We're gonna need a lot of them throughout the county. We're looking for something like a 3 to 5 acre site. Those are gonna be ideal. And they'll get North Carolina DEQ approval, so the environmental quality will be approving those. So the number that you would call if you got a site that's you'd potentially like to throw towards the county or toward these debris contractors, so the county would just facilitate that, is call 828-537-1441. Now, this is our Helene hotline for related to debris. So you might have a site, but if you have debris that's on your property that you want to get your name in the pot for private property debris removal, you'll call this number as well. If you have questions about anything related to the disaster, as far as mitigation, maybe your house was flooded out very badly and you just want some general information on what the process is to mitigate your place and a little bit of help and facilitation, that line will be another thing for you. If you have questions about resources and you want to be linked up, that hotline that I just gave you will help you get linked up with resources. We have the Volunteer Resource Center and it's got its own line to link volunteers, but if you call this line, we will link you to the Volunteer Resource line to get you volunteers. So we're just trying to run a little bit of a helpline into the county to get folks to where they got a place to call. The volume I'm running right now in the county is huge. This hotline right here is going to help you get someone following up with you a lot quicker than maybe I can get to you. I'm trying to do that at home at night, getting emails and things replied to and pushing my voicemails out to staff to help me out with it. But this line right here is your one stop for it. Like I said, right now, we got to get some debris sites up. And so we got Crowder Gulf getting ready to move into all ends of the county. They have big equipment. They're cleaning it up, but they need some sites. In addition to Crowder Gulf, we have Ashbrit, which is the Corps of Engineers prime contractor that will be doing waterway debris removal. Ashbrit met with us today and they said they're ready to get equipment in these streams and start moving them. And they have expanded allowances by the Corps to go and find the debris. If they see it in the creek, it's not just the spot that we marked on the map, because that might have washed down since the last storm. They say if they see that debris, they're in the creek, they're going after it. They're going to get it out so we don't get flooded. They will be mobilizing on the Cane Creek area. They need sites. The waterway debris removal debris is going to be more than that off the roads. So it's going to be a lot of debris. So we need 3 to 5 acre sites that the Corps contractor Ashbrit will get to you. That's why I gave you that number. That way it's one stop. If you have a potential debris site, they will make you a contract. The county won't but this Ashbrit will, or Crowder Gulf will make you a contract and, probably give you a pretty good rate for the debris removal and clean your place up. That's part of the contract after they use it. While they're using it, there'll be, a lot of vehicles moving in there and a lot of activity on it, but they will eventually repair that back to its original state. So we got Crowder Gulf needing debris sites, Ashbrit with the Corps of Engineers needing debris sites. So let's talk a little bit about Corps of Engineers and Ashbrit on your waterway stream debris removal. The way this works is the Corps will let out contracts through the federal procurement process. And a prime contractor will be assigned and set by the Corps of Engineers. Ashbrit is our prime contractor. Their vice president was here today. They said that they will be prioritizing local hires. They want locals working in there and getting that money within the community. They have been instructed to get local hires. Now, so you're subbing in locals on there. You need folks that's got the big equipment to do these projects. You're needing bigger tracos. You're needing dump trucks to move the debris from the stream to the debris site. So here's what it looks like with waterway debris removal. Y'all been seeing right-of-way debris removal. That's where they got some big vehicles coming down the sides of the road, and they're cutting trees and they're moving and they're cleaning up 20 to 30 feet from the edge of the road. Now they're going to get in the water and they're going to have the ability to go into anywhere the floodway is and get debris. So it's not just in the stream. They're going to come up on the banks, and if it's in the floodway area, they'll be getting that debris. So they won't just be getting it out of the stream, they'll be getting it off the banks. They will lay down a log mat where they go into the stream so they won't hurt the bank. They're doing this with all the max environmental regulations that are required. They're the federal government coming in on that, so they are getting a lot of scrutiny. It's, as you know, the Corps of Engineers wants to do this correctly. So they're going to be asking you as a landowner, as I talked to live stream, if you have access near the creek, that phone line number I gave you, and you want to get in front of that and get a right of entry to give them access behind your place. You might think, well, my house has a ton of debris and it's going to flood and the water's going to wash right back up into my yard. Well, call that number and get a right of entry form. I know one of the questions that citizens gave Commissioner Masters was right of entry forms. So I will kind of sidetrack right there and talk about right of entry. In a right of way debris removal, that's off the roadsides. On private roads and gated communities, we had a right of entry form that is required to get that. As Crowder Gulf comes on and starts taking over those, you're going to call that phone number and they will email you. They will get you an online, or they will facilitate helping you with your right of entry form if one is needed. Now, if you're on the state road, you don't need one. If there's mailboxes outside your driveway to go up the road that's coming by your house, they shouldn't need one. It's where it's a private gated community. That's where that form comes into play. When in doubt, call this number. This hotline has an automated aspect to it, but from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, we have a lady in here and working out of this office answering those questions, and we'll talk to you. She's got her headset on. She's from over in Wilkes County working up through here, but she's been very good, very knowledgeable. So once again, that number for debris is 828-537-1441. So that's where you get right of entry forms. You want to sign up for private property debris removal. I'm going to talk to you a little more about that. So I talked about right of way debris removal. I talked about private property or waterway debris removal, right of way debris removal, and private property debris removal. In this storm, FEMA has opened up private property debris removal, where they will come onto your property, and if you have debris in your yard because it's fire risk. And one of those questions was, what kind of resources are there to mitigate fire? And one of the immediate ones is the private property debris removal, where we remove those brush piles around your house. If your house had construction and demolition material outside your house, that program is where they come onto your yard. Of course, you have to sign a hold harmless and an agreement to let them come in. And that's that right of entry form too. So that's a new right of entry for private property debris removal. But let's say you're, over there at your mom and dad's house and they had a bunch of trees fall and you start chainsawing them up and you say, well, I've already done my phone call. We've signed the private property debris removal right of entry form. And, I've got this pile of, debris out here in the yard. We will eventually send a person out to, get eyes on your property's debris load so we can kind of know what to mobilize and build a work order off of it. And then, about a month, we're about a month out from getting vehicles up driveways. We're trying to stand up the right of entry first on private property debris removal, because when you sign that thing, we're also gonna have to do our due diligence to make sure that is the correct landowner. So there's a little bit of legal work on that to make sure somebody's not just falsely signing a right of entry. So as we finish that out in about a month, we will be coming on to people's property to get their debris. I had a lot of concern about folks that said, you know what, I don't have any land right by the edge of the right of way to bring my debris. It's all in my yard. Well, we got you covered. We're gonna try to get that where you can have that removed from your yard. So that's the private property debris removal. And one of the main reasons for that was to mitigate fire risk right around your house. And to answer Commissioner Masters' resources that are immediate, that address fire prevention, is that private property debris removal program that is launching. That is not all of them. We are wanting to work with Forest Service, and I was talking with the aide for Chuck Edwards, and we will be discussing bigger block funding in order to craft county-specific timber mitigation and wildfire mitigation projects. One of those Brandon talked about a little bit, where we're going to be meeting in Avery County with some state Forest Service folks. One of the things I requested from Holly Jones and Commissioner Harding and Commissioner Ellis as we met talking about needs was the need for a wildfire mitigation plan in Mitchell County. We need the experts to fly over here and say, what is a plan that we can see from a forester's perspective, from a wildfire mitigation person's perspective, on what we can do to mitigate fire risk. So we've got to have a plan in place for that. And then after we get that plan, we can assess high risk areas. And you say, well, it's all high risk. Well, there's certain areas where you got 100 acres of down trees in one, looks like a spin-off tornado blew through. You got other areas that may be, you got areas that are red, hot risk, and then some areas that are a lighter toward the green side, where it might have been on the leeward side of a ridge and didn't get as much trees down. So having a wildfire mitigation plan based on the Tropical Storm Helene's tree fall data that we had will be a start, and I asked the state to help us with that. One of the things we don't have right now is a local North Carolina forest ranger. We have a smoke chaser in place, and that smoke chaser is linked into resources, but we are asking for a for a North Carolina Forest Service ranger to kind of come into that position. They got about 30 vacancies around the state, so it's hard to find that, but we're asking, we need it. One of the things we're also doing on private property debris removal is requesting of FEMA to expand it to do more of fire mitigation with it than just the improved area around the house. So the improved area around the house might be your mow zone, that you mow your grass right around your house. It's going to be kind of typically in that 50 to 100 foot radius of the house. So that circle of 50 to 100 foot right now. So each one of these houses we're going into, we're going to assess, and we're through our disaster management folks, they're trying to write statements to FEMA to get pre-approval to expand out private property debris removal to move more towards fire mitigation purposes that expand out further or look at risks in the near area around that house. So, that's one of the things, but we do see coming down the pipe a lot of wildfire mitigation stuff that's getting discussed on the state side and the federal side. But to craft the program and fund the program and get the money down to the county is where the problem typically lies in government. So right now, that private property debris, it's your immediate house kind of a little better, but we know what sparks, they can fly a mile or two. We know that that's not sufficient. We know there's more to come. This resolution, when in a state of emergency, one of the things we're exploring is giving more local control to our fire marshal in order to, if they see a burn area that's maybe outside that 100-foot zone and it looks risky to catching on, that gives that fire marshal a little bit more time, authority in a state of emergency to get a fire that they deem is high risk. They can go to that landowner and say, hey, you know, around here, we've assessed this to be a high risk area. Can you wait till it's a rainy day or something to set this fire off, or something where we're not risking life safety? So we're also expanding around that area to look at, you know, in a state of emergency posture, to be able to give our fire chiefs and our fire marshal a little bit more authority to stop some of that burning that's high risk burning. So anyways, when will debris removal begin on Loggy Hollow? All right now. So I know we got a White Oak debris site, and I know we got one here in Bakersfield. I'm gonna go ask the Crowder Gulf folks. And I know they're gearing up, and they just got the White Oak North, White Oak Road South. And I'm gonna ask them, I say, can you all get down there on Loggy Hollow? So now don't let every citizen come in here to this meeting. I won't be able to get nothing done, but we're gonna get you all fixed, but yeah.
Will they be sending out regular debris schedules?
Yes, and they already are.
Okay.
Right now, the schedules were for Highway 261 Fork Mountain Road. They are staging up to go up to the Iron Mountain and start cleaning that up. They brought in a Cinnaboggan, which is an articulating arm with a cutter on it to get some of the, reach up those banks and get some of that hard to get material and to move some of that bigger stuff. So as you ride through and start seeing this mobilization, I think you will see much bigger equipment on this effort for debris removal. So I tell folks about 50% of my day is talking debris. The other 50% of the day is doing wildfire mitigation and catching up on what we have going on as far as just the effort and the financial pull of the county to try to keep things funded and keep departments serving people. And one of the projects that we've got going on that's outside that debris is moving the Volunteer Resource Center into the front end of Bowman Middle School. So at the traffic circle where you go into Bowman, we will have the Volunteer Resource Center set up over there to where we're going to have some shared office space for if FEMA will be, the last day for FEMA registration is March 8th, I think it is, this Saturday. And that's when the senior center, DRC, Disaster Recovery Center, will close and go back to a senior center. But we're going to be relocating resources over to Bowman. Now FEMA will scale back. We might have one day a week, and we'll start getting you a schedule or something when FEMA will be doing some shared office space out there if you have a FEMA concern. We also have FEMA will have a community liaison that will be working through Mitchell County. So FEMA is not out of the area. We're just scaling over to where we got 2 projects at the senior center getting ready to launch. We're doing a generator install, and we're also doing a retaining wall that's on a grant timeline. And we have to open that up. As also, we're having a lot of programs that have had to stand down while this building's been occupied. And it's been awesome to have that location throughout the storm. But we have to go into recovery mode and get these Meals on Wheels going out. These elderly folks are having programs, and they're having a lot. This helps the mental health of our folks. to get this moving and get back into these programs that are positive impacts on the community. With that said, we are working and we're about to get Bowman set up and cleaned up and ready to, be on track to do our volunteer resource center and shared office space for disaster resources. I believe I've covered it. Does the board have any questions related to disaster stuff that's being covered right now?
I have one question. You spoke about our FEMA liaison or the FEMA community liaison. Does that individual cover multiple counties?
From what I understood, they did have an opening for Mitchell. I don't know if they've hired that person yet. And I don't know if it was Mitchell, Avery, Yancey, but the current personal community liaison. But they had some jobs posted that were supposed to be county community liaisons. We shall see if they get us one hired. My hope is that if we get a FEMA community liaison, they would have a local person, they would train them up, and they would start being able to counsel with our folks on disaster needs via FEMA.
Do we have a timeline for a ribbon cutting for the sheriff's office?
So I know that today I was in a law enforcement center meeting where they're doing the painting of the lines on the parking lot and the handicap parking places in there.
Mhm.
We also have a handicap ramp, on the backside of the facility that needs to be completed. When those, projects are completed, we will then be in position to get our certificate of occupancy for that building. I would foresee us doing a ribbon cutting on that, building probably about a month from now.
Okay.
That would be, at the board's pleasure, but we'll schedule a time when our board members will be able to get, and past board members that were involved with that will be able to get out there and our dignitaries such as, Senator Heiss and those who helped make this funding possible on this would be invited, Senator Green. So we would definitely want to have a,
I just want to
Time
make sure
frame
there
on
was enough notice for Brandon, Clayton and Byrne.
yes,
To know, so they can be in attendance.
yes, we'll definitely, about a month out.
Okay, I have a question. It may involve both you and Mavis. The old tax office law enforcement center transportation building. What's the progress? What's going on?
So, I'll start, Mavis, you chime in with.
No, I think you know more about that now than I do.
Okay, so, basically, we were looking at, remediation contracts on there, and, you know, we had a remediation contract pending legal review. And so whenever you do all this stuff, you get audited on it. And we wanted to make sure things were apples to apples in all our contracts. And, also you was getting the lowest bid. So our local company, has submitted a bid on remediation that was the lowest bid, and we wanted to make sure that bid was a qualified, it's the lowest qualified bid as we go through our audit requirements on procurement with local government. So, we are, I think we're getting final legal approval to, start the remediation process through, Mac and Sheila, I think was their local folks that are doing that remediation. So that's good to see a local group get it. We'll have to get that on the time frame though, but we're probably about 6 months out from the complete build. If I was putting a longer time frame, I was hoping I'd have it in a little sooner. We had an initial bid that was, one of the attractive qualities of that bid was we could pop it out like that, but the bid didn't quite get the apples to apples need that we had. So one of our things that we want to do is always make sure, I know Mavis is a stickler on making that audit, and she has for many years. And we're gonna run that stuff as clean as we can see, and that's why that legal review will come in, and if they give us any kind of static, we always do that. And I mean, sometimes it's to a fault, because, we'll be in the midst of a deal, and we're like, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to move back a little bit on that. We've got some of them Eggers attorneys that, kind of reel us in on occasion. One or two. Yeah.
That and the fact that we're still also, our disaster recovery consultants or however, whatever, HGA is trying to now help us get involved and try to plead our case with our flood insurance, because after getting the initial bids, looking at them, and then going back and separating the remediation from the actual rebid and doing two contracts versus one, it's obvious that it's gonna cost more than what flood insurance is willing to give us.
So we're getting ready to do a little bit of, back and forth with them.
So we're still working with them, trying to plead our case. In the meantime, I think Alan's correct. I think we're very close, with Force assistance and with HGA's assistance, coming up with a good contract for the remediation. And then once that's done, we'll probably have to put out for bid the other piece of it, because I think it's gonna come in too close cost wise to not put it out for a formal bid. So we may have to rebid those, Jeff. We got an initial bid and thought it was gonna come in low enough, but after looking at the situation with the HVAC systems and some other issues that's come up, we'll probably have to put that out for bid. So that's gonna delay us a little bit on getting that building back up and going. But in the meantime, we're gonna argue our point with the insurance company. Once they, say this is all they're gonna do, and they write us a letter, basically a denial letter for what we're asking for, that's when, we'll look at legal alternatives, plus look at pleading our case with FEMA. We don't really have a project with FEMA on that building until we pretty much do all we can do with the insurance. And it is a process that does take a long time. I'm learning, and I'm not very patient, because I wanted it done. But
Yeah, we were very hopeful.
I was very hopeful too, but we've just run into some issues with it, and we wanna do it right. We don't wanna do anything that's gonna jeopardize, any funding for that, because of course the county doesn't want to, be on the line for you.
That's a lot of it right there.
Yeah, we
Like I said,
wanna-
We're trying to do it really clean, so that tax money doesn't go in that. That's FEMA money and insurance money to get us to where we're back on track, not, if we do it wrong, and the penalty is, well, you're going to have to pay it out of your pocket. It's
Yeah.
not less so like they're throwing you in jail. It's like, well, you got it wrong, you're on your own on how to pay for it. So we're trying to make sure we're running it through the proper boxes to make sure we're clean on there.
We have learned a lot through this process, I will say that.
That's a lot.
And, I think, yeah, we've learned a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. We'll be better prepared if it ever happens again.
I hope you
Not
never
gonna
have
let
to use it again, Bruce.
Yes.
been a struggle.
Is that, Mr.?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Board.
We'll move on to board comments. I'll start again with Mr. Blevins.
I will, catch our county manager off guard here a little bit. Alan, I just wanted to say, just address this to you, that, your dedication and the well-being of the safety of this county, looking out for its best interest, I mean, it's just, tonight especially has been very evident. You're constantly looking for the safest avenues for the citizens. You're not looking at anything but the well-being of our citizens. And it's very evident the long hours you're spending, not here, but it's evident that you're spending a lot of time at home on all this as well. And I just want to commend you and thank you and for all the organization and hard work you're doing right now.
Appreciate that, Commissioner.
Mr. Lee.
I'll just, follow up on that and add, I appreciate you staying on top of the debris removal, because it's not just the county manager that they're talking to about that.
Yeah, y'all are in it with me. Probably all the staff and the office here too.
I just want to say thank you to this board for taking time to attend any of our subcommittee meetings, that we're attending outside of these meetings. And, I'm going ahead and thanking you for our many, many meetings over the next 2 months. And so, March, April, May, there was going to be a lot. So I thank you for your dedication to that. And I just wanted to say thank you also to Alan and the finance department and just, the staff being flexible enough. I know Deidre, one day she's here, one day she's in the inspections department, and just the flexibility of our county staff as a whole. I hardly ever hear anybody complaining, and, they may not always enjoy the debris questions and discussions and all of the work, but I'm very grateful for all of our county employees.
And I'll echo what all of you have said, and I'm gonna add to that. Remember hopeful. Because months ago we were hopeful. Don't let frustration or negativity drive the train. Keep your hope and be strong. And the last thing I'll say is remember where we were all at on September 27th, 28th, October 1. And saying that, folks, we've still got a lot of our citizens that need help and are desperate. So don't forget your neighbor. Don't become complacent and forget what happened in this county. So with that, we'll move on. We do have reason for a closed session tonight. And that'll come under 143, 318, 11. A5 and A6. A5 would be real estate, A6 would be personnel. We will deal with A5 first. So as to remain in the board, and here is board, county manager, clerk, attorney. Is this thing and Mr. Jeff Levin. And everybody else can be dismissed. Thank you, guys.
Wait out here for you.
We need a motion.
And do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?